Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Courtney, and about 2 weeks ago, I asked you guys for some questions that you wanted to ask me for a Q&A video, and this is it. I am so excited to dive into these questions. You guys asked some really great questions, so I'm like super excited and a little nervous to really jump into this, but without further ado, let's dive into today's video. I just want to say thank you to everyone that submitted a question. I really appreciate it so much. I thought this would be a fun video for you guys to kind of get to know me better. I've never done a Q&A on my channel before, so this is my first one. I will say it's a little cloudy in LA today, so the lighting might change a little bit throughout this video, so just bear with me. So without further ado, let's jump into the first question. So the first question, what made you want to start a YouTube channel focusing on crystals? That is a great question. So basically, to really summarize like who I am as a person, I feel like there are two different aspects of me. There is this aspect that is so creative and is so infatuated with film production. That's kind of what my career is. I work in the film industry. And there's also another side to me that loves crystals and spirituality and really just diving into that subject. So creating my YouTube channel was kind of blending the two together. I had the idea to really start a YouTube channel on crystals and spirituality around 2018. But with divine timing, it took 2 years for my, manifestation to come to fruition. And now I have a YouTube channel and it really has been such an amazing ride. Part of my YouTube channel is really connecting with you guys and just like sharing this knowledge and, learning about crystals. My goal is to really just build a community where we can talk about these things more openly, because to be honest, you don't really have everyday conversations with everyone in your life talking about crystals. So I really just wanted to create this channel to build a community where we could talk about it. And as the world shifts and changes, I really feel like talking about crystals will be a new normal. All right, so the next question is, what crystals do you use every day? That's an awesome question too. This varies, but I will say for the last 4 or 5, 4 months, yellow fluorite, I use that crystal every single day. It really helps me with just having my mind be really focused, and I feel like I can work really hard. I have this steadfast mentality when I have fluorite around me. It's one of my favorite crystals to work with. And I got some yellow fluorite, I think it was in September. And ever since I got it, I've just been loving it. I feel like I can work so well. My mind is just so sharp. It definitely helps with writing and, creating content for my YouTube channel. And it's honestly such a good one. Another crystal I use daily right now is red aventurine. I kind of talked about this in my Crystals for Manifesting video. I just really love having red aventurine with me whenever I work on anything that involves with my future, like career-wise, passion-wise. Red aventurine is all about action, and I'm very much an action-oriented type of person. So red aventurine is definitely one I use every day. And then pretty much this little area right here, this bar area, this is kind of where I work every day, and I have a little selenite charging plate, and I'll put different crystals on there, whatever I'm feeling. Every month I'll switch it up. For example, I'll show you what my selenite charging plate looks like right now. So this is an example of what's on my plate right now, and this is just what's next to me all day. I have sodalite, amazonite, moonstone, red hematite in quartz, and then I have my pyrite. So this is just right next to me when I'm working. It just feels really good to have a lot of different crystals around me, but that definitely changes every couple weeks. But yeah, that's kind of a fun thing that I like to do to experiment with the energy and have it right next to me throughout the day. Alrighty, so the next question is, what are some crystal myths that you have heard of, and have you debunked them? That's a good question. I feel like a crystal myth to me is that crystals don't work. that crystals are a joke. That whole, people that don't like agree with, crystal energy, I feel like that's a myth, and I've definitely debunked that because that's what I'm all about. Like, I'm all about debunking, like, hey, we can feel this crystal energy. So that's kind of like a myth, I guess. Another thing, a better example, I guess, would be heat-treated citrine. I feel like some people really don't like working with heat-treated citrine, but I've noticed in my experiences that heat-treated citrine, it's just as good as the natural citrine. And then that actually carries on to the next question, which is, would a heat-treated citrine have the same effects as a natural citrine? So basically for me, how I feel about this, my opinion is that citrine is quartz crystal, and the quartz crystal is obviously underground, and depending on, sorry for that crow, depending on, nature, Mother Nature, how cool it is underground, how hot it is underground, what other minerals are mixing in, that's really gonna make up whatever crystal we, dig up from the ground. So the only difference really is that the natural citrine is getting heated underground, and then the heat-treated citrine is getting heated up above ground. I personally think that they're both still quartz crystals. One just gets heated underground, one gets heated above ground. For me personally, I feel like they can both have the same benefits, but it's really up to you to decide how it feels. What feels right for me may not feel right for you. And there are people out there that are crystal rawest, and they only like working with raw stones and pure stones that have been not altered by man at all. So I totally respect people that are crystal rawest. It's all about how you feel in that whole situation. So yeah, I feel like definitely they're both the same for me. Alrighty, so this next question, how did you get into spirituality? That is a loaded question. I'll try not to make it super long, but I guess you could say like I really got into spirituality like when my friends and family started to notice was really when I started collecting crystals and experimenting with crystals, and that all happened in 2017. I feel like definitely before I got into crystals, I was kind of already going through a spiritual awakening, but I just wasn't conscious that I was going through one. Like I wasn't consuming any content or reading any books that were based on spirituality. I didn't really know that I was going through a spiritual awakening, maybe like a little baby one. And then in 2017, and in my video how I got started with crystals, I kind of talk about what happened, but basically I was in the car and all of a sudden I had like this idea pop in my head, like, there's a lot of books and there's so many people that talk about like the benefits of stones and crystals and how it like unravels in their life, like what happens, their experiences, how their energy shifts. And it just really made me feel like there is gotta be truth in that. And that's really what sparked my interest. And then from there, just learning about crystals, in that February 2017 is when I got my first crystals, and I really started experimenting with them and just really seeing the benefits of having crystals in my life. And it really just transformed, my spiritual journey from then on. So crystals work a really big part in me becoming a spiritual person. All right, and the next question is, what is your craziest experience with crystals? What really affirmed your trust in using them? So my crazy experience with crystals, I'll get to that in a second, but what was the word? Affirmed my trust in them. It was just kind of like, I just was really open in the process when I first started working with crystals, and I think that's super key. You have to be really open to letting the crystal into your life and seeing how you change and how you shift. And I mean, that was probably the biggest, affirmation, was that I was really receptive and like I was learning about what the crystal property was, and then I would see, how my energy shifted, or I would see like, it was almost like the universe was speaking to me at certain points, like just synchronicities were happening, and I just felt like, wow, this feels really true. It just really resonated with me. I can't really like pinpoint any particular like moments, it just always felt so right. And I think that was just, my intuition was so intact with working with crystals. My craziest experience with crystals, I haven't had too many crazy experiences, but I guess there was kind of a crazy experience that happened recently. It was actually a week ago today. I had an experience. I was crystal shopping a week ago, and I saw a stone that I was recommended to try. Actually, one of my subscribers was like, hey, you should try this crystal or this stone, and I was always looking for it when I go shopping. I haven't really gone crystal shopping that much because of, everything that's going on. But last Sunday, I was out shopping with my boyfriend, and I saw a Shiva Lingam stone, and I picked it up, and it was just one of those instances where I have never felt the presence of the energy of the stone so strongly. And it was almost like I just started smiling and looking around, like I was looking like, do people know what's going on right now? Like, it was a wild experience, and I will definitely be doing a whole video on that really soon. I don't want to give anything away, but the Shiva Lingam experience was definitely the craziest one I've ever had. And the next question is there any science behind crystals? If so, what? And where is this information from? Absolutely, there definitely is science behind crystals. I will say though, to be honest, I probably should look into more like scientific studies about crystals, because I just am so invested in I know the truth, and I have experienced it. So I'm like, oh, one day science will catch up kind of thing. But there's definitely science, there's the metaphysical aspect of it. There also is physics involved with crystals. In my quartz crystal video, I talk about crystal lattice. That's probably like the biggest scientific discovery with crystals. And just like how we have, crystals in a lot of technology. That in itself is a big thing that happened in science, which, we each can all do our own research. This is where I definitely lack. I probably should look into this more, but I don't. Besides the science of things, I do kind of take in account just the, ancient civilizations and cultures, and how they have, their stories about working with crystals. And I feel like there is some significance there. If like ancient civilizations have known about this, then I feel like it really reaffirms to me that this is true. But definitely there is some science involved with crystals. And the next question is there anyone in your life that inspired you to start working with crystals? To be honest, there is not a particular person that inspired me. It really just was like that moment when I had a thought pop in my head about, really thinking about crystals. And it was almost like the universe inspired me to start working with crystals. I really do listen to my intuition. And as I have, gone through my spiritual development and still continue to go through it, I really do listen to my intuition, and it was just one of those things that I just kept going at it. I was just thirsty for the knowledge, and I just kept learning and learning and learning, and it just really shifted, and I evolved into, the person I am today. I'm sorry the lighting is so wacky today, but I can't really do anything about it, but sorry if it's annoying. The next question is, what is a crystal you've never worked with but want to? I really want to work with moldavite. I've heard such crazy cool things about moldavite, and I'm totally ready to experience those things. But I personally want moldavite to come into my life naturally and organically. I don't want to buy it and just be okay, let me experiment. I want it to be it's presented in front of me. Maybe I'm traveling and I go to a crystal shop and then I find it, then I could buy it. I feel like that's kind of a more organic way, or at least the way I want to experience moldavite. Sorry, I want it to be a very organic thing when it happens. Next question. What are you most interested in diving into spirituality that you haven't yet before? That's a good question. Well, Remember when I said the Shiva Lingam? Okay, so it's kind of referencing towards that. Something that's new that I really want to learn about is, Kundalini. I feel like I've kind of just experienced some Kundalini in my life, and I am so interested to keep diving into learning more about it. I don't want to spoil anything, but that's definitely a major thing that I'm super excited to dive into. And then another thing that's something that I want to really dive into is the just kind of like how karma is, like the subject of karma and like ancestral karma. I haven't really, researched that much about it, but really diving into karma is something that I think is really interesting. All right, the next question is manifestation the term for making something into reality through connecting with your crystals? Not exactly, but, manifestation is thinking things in our head and then consciously like coming back to that thought, and then through time and, manifestation techniques, those things come into physical form or they come into fruition. That's kind of how I feel manifestation is. And crystals can help in that process so much. They're definitely a tool to aid you in your manifestations, but I don't think you necessarily need crystals to manifest. I think crystals are just a really great tool for the manifestation process. Alrighty, and the next question is, what are some ways to tell the difference between real and fake crystals? Where are fake crystals mostly sold? So I feel like this is a little bit of a tricky thing to identify, and obviously it's best if you are shopping in person because you can really tell if a crystal's fake easier when you're in person. For example, a way to tell if a crystal's fake is if it's like the color, like a lot of crystals can be dyed. I see this with quartz crystals a lot. Like sometimes they'll dye quartz crystals and it'll be like this really fuchsia pink color or like a really deep bright color. Dyed crystals are definitely, I feel like, fake crystals. Another way to identify a fake crystal, crystals should be cold to touch when you pick them up. If it's like warm, it could be plastic, I guess. But it is, you do really kind of want to be in person when you're shopping for crystals for that reason, because if you're not sure and you accidentally get a fake crystal, that sucks, obviously. But yeah, I don't think there's a specific place, where they sell fake crystals. It's just you kind of have to get the hang of crystal shopping, and like once you kind of understand, like you kind of can see the colors, you can kind of tell, like I guess for me, when I'm crystal shopping and I see like bracelets, like crystal bracelets, sometimes I'll pick up the beaded bracelets and I'll be like, you know what, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know if this is an authentic stone as to what it's telling me it is. So you do kind of have to be in person, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, you just have to kind of go with your intuition and see how it feels when you touch it. Next question, what crystals do you sleep with and what do you suggest for dreaming? So I personally love to sleep with amethyst. I have had amethyst next to my bed for many years and it really helps me remember my dreams, and I honestly feel like I have more vivid dreams when I have amethyst next to my bedside and I have it facing me. I make sure that my amethyst is facing me when I'm sleeping. But some other stones that I've kind of experimented with dreaming are polychrome jasper. I have had such crazy dreams with that stone. It's insane. Another stone that's really great for sleeping or for dreaming is labradorite. When I sleep with labradorite, I have really cool dreams. I definitely recommend that. But really when it comes to like experimenting with like sleeping and dreaming, I really feel like whatever crystal you have, or if you buy a new crystal, you should definitely do like your own experiment with it. I think that's kind of like the fun part of collecting crystals, is like doing different experiments with it. So like have that crystal next to you. Like, do you have different dreams that night? Like, did it influence anything with your sleep? That's kind of like the fun of, collecting crystals. Alrighty, and the last question for the upcoming new year. What are your top crystals you'll be working with in order to start the year off right? That is such a great question. And I love when I get a confirmation from you guys, because I'm actually planning on filming this video next week, and I will be sharing with you guys my top crystal recommendations for 2021. When I saw that question, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I feel like I'm on the same wavelength as you guys, which is like so awesome. But yes, stay tuned for that video because it's gonna be out in a week, and I'm so excited to jump into that topic with you guys. Alrighty, so those were all the questions that were asked. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure those were all the questions that were asked. Thank you guys for submitting questions. Honestly, this was so much fun. I hope that you kind of got to know me a little better and your questions got answered. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're new here and you're just watching this for the first time, definitely browse and see some of my other videos and hit that subscribe button. Come on and join this crystal fam. I had a lot of fun with you guys today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next one.